This is my 1958 Plymouth Savoy. Now I recently got it running in the video that's in the top right corner. But before I could do anything else with it, it lost compression across all 6 cylinders. Today, Dad is helping me move the car to my shop so I can really hammer down on trying to make it run. We got it loaded up and we made our way over. Now, the Plymouth luckily rolls off with ease, so we pushed it off the back of the trailer. Now the fun part. It doesn't run and it doesn't drive, so the best way to move it is with your race car / makeshift truck. And here we are, we have the Plymouth in the shop finally. Now this is the best place that it could have possibly been, because now we can actually determine what in the world happened, because from the last point in the last part of the last video, everything fell apart basically. This thing was running so good. It was fantastic. It idled beautifully. It wanted to go. It wanted to stop. No, it didn't want to stop. It wanted to move. And I couldn't make it happen. So I don't know what the heck happened to the engine. I don't know what the heck happened to everything after the fact, but it just ran perfectly fine one day, and then the next day I came back, aired up the tires, and nothing happened. If it takes pulling the head off, if it takes taking the engine out, if it takes setting the car on fire, I'm gonna do it. I wanna figure out what happened. Now I'm gonna go through some comments. There was a few guys who recommended what they should do and to make this thing actually run. I'm gonna do a few different things here, debunk a few things, because a few people had questioned my motives, and my motives are perfectly clear and sane, right? So what we're gonna do today is actually figure out what happened, because this engine deserves at least a second or 12th chance. Yeah, we're about 12 tries in. The first recommendation I want to go through that you guys told me to do is probably the most far-fetched one. I'm going to try it anyway. So simply say 2 words. Okay? Show me. Show me. Show me. Yeah, stupid. Now, if you remember where we left off, the engine lost compression after a day of sitting after it ran perfectly fine. Every cylinder had 30 psi of compression. Don't really know what happened, but I'm going to pull all the spark plugs out again and just do another baseline check so we can, kind of refamiliarize ourselves with what's going on and make sure that we know, hey, this is actually still a constant thing. Check it with a different gauge and just go ahead and make sure it's still a problem. Let's get these spark plugs out. All right, time for some compressing. See what happens here. Still showing about 40 on that one. That ain't good. I had a few people recommend this. A little oil down in each cylinder. Some 10W30. Is it thick enough? Do I need some gear oil? I don't know. I want to do this to see if we can build up a little extra compression to see if it'll actually run. But first I'm going to test it. Just put a little bit down in that spark plug hole, spin it over again, and see if we get anything else different. Okay, I don't know. Maybe more is better? All right. Woo! She's at 80 now. That is enough, right? My gauge appears to be leaking as well, so that's not helping anything at all. But that doubled it. So if it's leaking, maybe it's enough to fire? I say we try that on all of them and see what happens. So I've gone through and precisely measured every single cylinder to get the exact same amount of oil so that our compression readings will be the exact same across the board. So now it should be perfectly fine and get enough compression to run. Let me put all these spark plugs back in and we will find out. I'm looking for 153624. There's the old number 1. Number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which direction do you go? I'm trusting Google. Should I trust Google? Rotates clockwise. I hope you're right. There's number 3, then 6, number 2, and that should leave number. Wait a minute. Uh-oh. Where's number 4? There's number 4. Now for the moment of truth. We got everything put back together. I hope the firing order and timing is enough to do something. Take a little starting fluid. And hopefully that does something. Whoa! There's smoke. Okay. This is interesting. I have not seen this happen before. Watch the dipstick tube right here. What the heck is that? It's chooching oil out of the breather cap and everything. How's a little more starting fluid sound too? Maybe just a little extra. That's combustible. Okay. Interesting. So it's burning all that oil. That's blue smoke right there. But it's blowing it out of the crankcase and through the dipstick. There and there. What that's telling me is that the rings are not holding any compression. That's a lot. That's way more than needed. I'm going to get inside the car. I went to O'Reilly and did a bad thing. I bought ring sealer, so compression in a bottle, and some Marvel Mystery Oil. I'm going to try it anyway. I typically use this if I'm trying to get something to come unstuck, but we'll try a little bit of this, maybe half the bottle in the top end, half the bottle in the crankcase. This ring seal smoke repair is formulated to help stop exhaust smoke, reduce oil burning, and prevent plug fouling caused from blow-by. Contains high shear polymers which provide a seal for worn pistons and rings to stop blow-by. Cushions and coats engine parts, helping to reduce wear and quiet noisy lifters, and retains oil flow characteristics in hot and cold weather. So, I don't know if this Rizlone high mileage formula will actually do anything, and I'm going to use it the improper way. So if you guys see this, I'm sorry. I apologize. If you do want to sponsor me, then we'll talk after this, but just don't take this to heart. What it says to do actually is to add it to the crankcase, meaning you put it in the oil whenever you do an oil change. It says to do that between oil changes or during an oil change, but I'm not going to do that. I guess it's technically between oil changes, but I'm literally going to just add it into where the spark plugs go. Is that bad? Kinda, yeah. So the reason I want to do that is because I genuinely believe this thing can run, but for some reason the piston rings have given up. They are no longer sealing, hence why you see all of that smoke coming out of the crankcase and the breather and the dipstick tube. So the rings are no longer working. They probably just decided to no longer seal, So we're going to do our best to see if we can make something happen. Now, again, I tell you this is not the correct way to add this piston ring sealer, but I'm going to do it anyway because the proper way to do it is to a running engine that smokes. This is a non-running engine that smokes, and it didn't smoke before, which is probably the craziest part about it. I think it puffed a little bit of smoke out the first time I started it, but then since then, nothing. Ooh, this stuff is nasty. It's like syrup. Like I said before, we're going to add just a little bit into each cylinder and measure it perfectly, carefully, and be very precise with how much we put into each one. Yep, that's about good. That's actually way too much. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, Dylan, chill out, man. Let's get this out of here. But this filter is nice and disgusting too, because I never changed the oil in this thing. I was going to, but then it decided to stop running. I said, you know what, forget it. Ooh. I'm not going to take it out all the way. I just kind of want to see the condition of said oil. Yeah, it's kind of gross. Okay, I'm going to set you right there. I'm going to pour the rest of you in here. Delicious. Now listen, I spent $6 on this and then another $6 on the Marvel Mystery Oil. If you don't run, we're going to have words, okay? Nice and red. Oh, it's going to overfill. Oh no. Hold on. You know what? I'm just going to have to bite the bullet, aren't I? I'm just going to have to bite the bullet. I'm just going to have to close it, and I'm going to have to do it. Oh, where did it go? Where did the bolt go? Oh, great. Found it. Now, the real question on everybody's mind is, why didn't I add it to the crankcase? And why did I put it in the filter housing? I'm wondering the same thing, too. Don't worry. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. Oh, that was disgusting. I'm an idiot, I swear. I don't know why I put it in there. The crankcase cap is right there to fill the oil, but for some reason I put it in the filter. Why did I do that? My genius knows no bounds. Now that everything is perfectly covered in a disgusting oil and liquid and substances, let's give her a rip and see what happens. That was new. Backed off the timing a little bit. Let's see if that helps any. This is all oil coming out of the crankcase. This is not like electrical. This is all oil from the crankcase. Okay, I'm gonna back up. Oh gosh. So instead of being dumb, let's pour some Marvel Mystery Oil down into where it's actually supposed to go. Whoa, look at that smoke. Get in there. Just eat that. Blowing it right back out the crankcase. I added a little initial timing, and it might have been a little too much. Another comment that I saw was that the battery was too weak to actually start it. So I've put a jump box onto the battery, and we're going to see if that does anything at all. Did anybody else hear that? Did anybody else hear that little sputter? Did anybody else hear when it tried to run? Did anybody else notice that? Did anybody else hear what I just heard? Saw what I just saw? Holy macaroni, it just tried to fire. What? Are you serious? Are you serious right now? This time I'm going to hold the throttle open because that seemed to help. And just go, woo! And now crank. I'm going to give this thing a break because I bet that battery cable's about to cook. Whew. Take a second. Take a breather. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. All right, so it's been a couple hours. Let it kind of charge up a little bit. And see if we can go to engine crank here. Start. Now, we're going to try it again. See if anything happens now that we kind of like let things calm down a little bit. Go back to cooling off so now the battery cable is not cooking anymore. Throttle lever's all the way throttling. Excuse me? What? Are you serious? Okay. Okay. So it sputtered a little bit. Wow, okay. Here's what I want to do. I want to actually get another can of starting fluid because this one's dead. And let's try it again. And if we can make it hit one more time, I'll connect a fuel line to it and an electric pump, and we'll try to make it run off of its own fuel supply again. And I will just let it run to kind of like free up the rings, fill it up with water, and just let it go. I can't believe, wow. All right, I get a fresh can of starting fluid again. I want to try this all over, see if we can replicate that one more time because that was incredible. Oh, she wants to bad. I want to turn that back down a little bit. Oh. Golly, right when it wants to. I'll turn the throttle back up, see what happens. Let's give it a break. Getting a little warm. Look how much smoke is actually coming out of the crankcase right now. I mean, it's just a constant. It just keeps on chooching out the crank. That is wild. All that is just blowing out past the rings, but it did get enough to actually spin over and fire for a quick second, so we're not going to give up. What I've done is rigged up our electric pump back to our fuel line out the front into our fuel jug. I'm going to try it again, but this time if it runs, it'll have a fuel supply waiting for it. All I got to do, plug it back up and then get it going. So if it works, we can at least get it to run and then hopefully get those rings to seal up again. Yes! Look at the smoke that rolled out of that bad boy. Oh my gosh. Wow. It ran. What? I'm shaking. It ran. It actually ran. Whoa. All right, let's not give up. Don't give up yet. If we can get it to run and idle, then what I'll do, I'm sorry if I'm yelling, I'm excited right now. If I can get it to idle, I'll put water in the radiator and try to let it warm up so that way the rings will seat. My heart's racing. Come on. Come on. We got the fuel hooked up. Come on, stay running. Stay running. There you go. There you go. Woo! Stay running. Let me go get some water. Holy moly, it's a smoke show in here. Hey, chill out. Chill out. There you go. Calm down. All right, got some water. Let's fill her up. I'm just gonna let it run. You just keep on running. Whoop. No. Don't give up on me. Do not give up on me. There we go. Come on. Nope, nope, nope. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. Come on back to us. I've run out of starting fluid. Please don't. Come on. I've got brake cleaner. That's all I got right now. I don't like doing this, but I'll try it just to see if it'll start. got plenty of water in it, so that's okay. Wow, very smoky in here. Got the doors both open, but it's still just settling at the top of the roof. I think we got a cylinder that's not come all the way in. I'm noticing that there's bubbles coming up at a number 5. I can see a little bubble coming out like air. So I think it's getting past the spark plugs for some reason. Just let it idle and warm up and get hot. And maybe those rings will actually seat. I cannot believe that. This thing had 30 PSI of compression and it's running currently. My poor shop is going to smell terrible. Yeah, look at that number 5 right there. Uh-oh, don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die. There you go. How's the coolant look? Hasn't opened up the thermostat yet, so hopefully it's, actually working. That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. All right, looks like we've got some circulation going on here. I picked up a little bit of antifreeze now that's coming out of the engine. I just put straight water in there, but it's actually circulating now, so that's good. Seems like it's calmed down a little bit. I mean, it's still got that stumble every now and then, but I think that's number 1. It's like there's a little bit of air bubble that's coming out around the spark plug. So I don't know what the heck's going on there. Nope, don't die, don't die, don't die. Let me add a little bit more water. Where did I put it? Oh, it's over here. That'll make her feel better. A little bit of coolant goes a long way. I just hope the radiator holds up when we put the cap back on. I mean, it looks fine, like the core itself isn't busted or anything, so that's a good thing. I just can't believe that this thing's running right now. I cannot believe that. This engine had no compression whatsoever, and it's sitting here idling right now. That the idle has started to clean up. We're probably picking up cylinders as we go. I mean, still number 1's blowing air bubbles out for some reason, but I mean, the spark plug is tight. I don't want to over tighten it or hurt anything. Maybe number 5 is okay, because I mean, there's like oil sitting on the top of it. It could be a fouled plug in the back too. Who knows? I mean, these spark plugs have been through a whole lot. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea once it warms up and everything to change a set of spark plugs and figure out why number 1's leaking. That's probably what our misfire is a little bit of air coming through that. So we're losing compression on number 1 just because it's leaking. Look how much blow-by we're still getting out of the crankcase. See all that? I'm hoping, like I said, that as we let it run some more, the engine will warm up, the rings will seat, and then we'll have a little bit better time with starting it. I mean, letting it get up to operating temperature is really probably the key that would have helped it the first time, but I never did that. I never really ran it much longer than, maybe 30 seconds or more, long enough to at least get a video. I'm just beyond ecstatic that this thing actually fired. Oh, don't die on me now. Don't do it. Don't you do it. Let me clear you out a little bit. There you go. Make you feel better. What I was saying was, I can't believe that this thing is actually running right now. That is incredible. All that blue smoke, it's burning all that off now, so it's actually able to just, go out the door. But that's what it takes, basically. This is one of those things I can't believe actually worked. So a combination of the Marvel Mystery Oil, some of that Rizlone piston ring sealer, and some oil. Just dump it all the spark plugs and hope for the best. Probably do it the right way. Don't do it like I did, because you could bend the valve. You can do some hydrolocking, basically. So you don't want to do that. You got to be careful with how you do this. And I was just basically thinking that this engine was toast, so I didn't really care. But luckily, thank you, Lord, this thing actually fired back up. think our engine's starting to get up to temperature. I'm gonna let that level drop because I put a little too much in it, I think. Once that thermostat opens and get up to temperature, we can put the cap back on and add a little bit more if we need to, but I don't want to add too much and not be able to check the level, because if it gets hot on me, I don't want to blow a head gasket or anything or warp a head. We'll let that just kind of settle down and do its thing. I don't see anything leaking out, but again, when we put it under pressure, actually put the cap back on, that's whenever you're kind of putting things to the test, at least for coolant wise, because getting things under pressure and getting them really hot, that's when stuff starts to fail. But that's okay. I can live with that because this thing runs now. The ultimate test is if it's going to run after this. If we let it, you know, cool off and chill out for a little while, if I'll be able to actually crank it back up, that's the real test right there. I mean, if it will, I'll rebuild the carburetor. I'll do all sorts of stuff to make it to where it's actually functioning again. I'm just taking a step out here to appreciate how much smoke is literally rolling out of the shop. Wow. And it just keeps coming, like you can't stop it. It just keeps on rolling out. It's a good thing. We're evacuating all that smoke. Looking a little hazy in here. All these cars are going to smell like smoke on the inside, but hey, as long as this Plymouth runs, that's all I care about. Coolant levels dropped pretty good. We're getting a lot of air bubbles out of there, so that's nice. I'm just going to keep on letting it do its thing until it finally drops enough to add a little more. Then I'll put the cap on, hope for the best. You can tell that it's really cleared up. The idle has, you know, gotten significantly better as it picks up more and more of these piston rings. So, you know, we probably started off with like 3 or 4 that were running okay, and now we've got, I guess, I hope most of them. You know, 5 out of 6, that ain't bad. I'm gonna see if the idle will come back down to earth now. We'll play it safe. We'll just kind of ease it down a little bit at a time. I put the radiator cap back on, so hopefully it'll build up some pressure and circulate some more coolant. I don't think the generator is doing anything but taking up space. So what I'm doing over here is coming over to my battery charger, and as the voltage drops, you can see it's not getting any kind of voltage, or extra voltage that is. I've got it on the 40 amp boost, so it works kind of like an alternator here. Just hit start, let it charge for a little while, and then it should bump it back up to a reasonable amount. And now when I turn it off, we have 13.1. So I kind of just come over here, turn it on for a little bit, turn it back off just to keep the battery up. Luckily, we're only using the power from the distributor. That's the only kind of spark we have going on right now. So we have spark from the distributor into the spark plug, so it's not like it's using a whole lot of voltage. We just want to keep it running as long as possible so we can seat those rings and get it back to where it needs to be. That was probably the biggest problem that happened, is that I started it and all of a sudden these rings are like, whoa, we got to do something now. And I didn't run it long enough to really seat them, and then it's just like, no more, can't help you there. But luckily we got this engine back up. Now, if it doesn't run again after this, I'll be happy. I'm still happy that it actually came back to life, but I want to see if I can run it as long as possible. I want to drive this car. I want to put it back together. I would love to fix the brakes on it, make sure the transmission's shifting properly, and actually take this thing and drive it down the road. That's my main goal at the end of the day, is to get this car back on the road no matter what. So, big step number 1, making sure it runs unlike it did in the first video. So that's a really, really good step in the right direction. Well, it's been running for probably 30 minutes at this point, and the shop is cleared out. I mean, we're not adding any more smoke to the situation here, so that's good. On top of that, the engine is running smoother. Now, I can still hear a misfire every now and then, but like I said, I still think if we change spark plugs again and then figure out why it's leaking some compression around the spark plug threads, I think we can get it figured out. But honestly, I mean, there's no smoke coming out of the exhaust. There's a leak like right there. You can kind of see where it's spattered out. There's no smoke coming out of that anymore. That is awesome. So awesome. Heck, maybe there's life left in this thing. Maybe there's some life left. Definitely doesn't want to give up. Again, it just must be a 58 Plymouth thing. The only problem now is that everything's getting hot, heating up and burning things off. Starting to smell like mouse poop and disappointment. We'll see if it smokes anymore out the exhaust. Yeah, which has still got a lot of oil in the back. But we're definitely improving, for sure. We're going in the right direction. Got to keep that in mind, going in the right direction. Always keep that in mind that you're going in the right direction, like right now. Well, it died. Just wonder if it'll start back. Let's try it. Now that it's got nice and hot. Maybe a little of the good stuff will help. She's probably hot. Hold on. Come on. Come on. Well, probably a good time for a break anyway. I have to admit, I'm very impressed with how well the Plymouth performed. I mean, honestly, it did fire up after a lot of trial and error, but it did run, and theoretically, I guess you could make it drive. The only problem is that this engine was smoking like a freight train, and just to get it to run, it took 3 different kinds of oil, all dumped down in the spark plug holes. It was pretty bad. I mean, even if the rings do decide to seat later on, I mean, it's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of trial and error, and driving it down the road, which I really can't do right now. And on top of that, every time you want to start it, you have to go basically through a whole can of starting fluid just to make it happen. So it's kind of unfortunate, and it's really not the most ideal situation. If I have to pull the engine out, which it really needs, if it has to be rebuilt, then I have no intention of going back in with this engine. I think a V8 swap would be incredible, something very straightforward, a little bit more modern, like a small block or a big block Chrysler, because it's a lot easier to work on, a lot easier to find parts for, and I want to do what I've done with every other car that I own. I don't do restorations, I do roadstorations, meaning that I put these cars back on the road where they're intended to, no matter how nice they are or how well they look, but as long as they perform well and do the job at hand, which is to be driven like a car, that's what I'm aiming for, because this car deserves that. Every car that's here has deserved that, and that's what I specialize in. It's not restorations, but these roadstorations. So I think this car is a very willing candidate to do that. Maybe a nice, simplified V8 from Chrysler, dual exhaust, the glass packs out the back, fix up the brakes, fuel system, and drive it. So if you like that, if you want to see more on this car, please leave a like down below. Leave a comment telling me how you enjoyed the video and what you want to see in the future, and whatever engine recommendations you may have, let me know. And I appreciate everybody being here. Order a t-shirt and a sticker if you want to support this car. That's the best way to do it. And I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.